Hello everyone, welcome to Moonride, where we're channeling the man in the moon. I'm just going to take a look at politics right now, see what's on the horizon. I'm kind of curious to see if I can guess what the electoral numbers are going to look like. We'll see how that works out, or if it works out. So, Spirit, what about Trump? What do we need to know? Now, you guys, I think if you've watched my videos, you've noticed a lot of pyramids are coming up for me. And if you guys need protection, just imagine a spirit above, imagine a pyramid above you and just lower it. Going into any difficult situations like that, you can just lower that pyramid around you and it'll protect you. It's funny, as I'm looking at Trump, the pyramid is upside down. It's just completely the wrong direction. I can kind of guess what it means. Trump's upside down, but, I'm open to many interpretations of what that might mean. Sort of, maybe even he's not protected. Interesting. Can you tell me more, Spirit? What's Trump going to do? Again, it's like kind of the same thing. Lots of him setting fireballs. They're all failures. They all explode in his face. Again, I'm kind of getting a message. He's not protected. It's like there's the pyramid and here's his fireball image of him, right? And it's not protected. He's not getting anywhere because he's vulnerable. He's really vulnerable. He looks unwell. He's been looking ill for a while. But I do wonder if there's some serious medical issues. Is Trump going to get COVID? Okay, Trump's holding up a couple of fingers, which doesn't mean yes to me. Maybe it's some people he knows will get it. He's like showing me maybe 2 or 3. Maybe that's others. So again, will Trump get COVID? No, he'll just get angry. So I think somebody's going to contract COVID just before the election and make him look really bad, because he's just turning red, as you can imagine. Just bright red. Okay, Donald. What else can we know about Donald Trump? So I'm seeing the Senate. Something happens in the Senate. And it's like, cut through. Maybe that's the election, but it's like, imagine a laser cutting across the Senate. It's almost like carving out a space in the Senate. One thing that I want to take away as a positive of this is, more active people are getting into position. So, you notice, there's AOC and other people who are just much more active to change the government, and they have arrived because of this problem we have. So that has a feeling of like, that's going to keep happening. Maybe some Democrats who are kind of centrist and sort of lackluster and not that active, they are becoming active. So notice that this is a crisis that's not only motivating us to do things, it is motivating people in the institutions of government to also really become much more active. Maybe you noticed there are a few more whistleblowers this week with some very serious allegations, right? So there is a positive to what is going on. And whenever you get stressed out by this, don't hesitate to look at the positives and say, well, okay, but what's the good side of this? I mean, I don't want to be Pollyanna here and say there's always a bright side. But, you can always go, all right, what is there? Is there any aspect of this that is good? Just for our learning and our consciousness. We have problems throughout our lives. We always will. The question really is, do we get mired in them, or do we take a look and go, what am I going to learn out of this? Trump is like chipping away at like an ice block. It's such a huge ice block that it's just chipping and chipping and chipping and chipping, and he's in the same spot. And then he can't chip it all into ice cubes. So he goes away, comes back, and it's all frozen over again. I think, though, you might see some chipping away, him trying to chip away at the poles, and it might have like this momentary, temporary success, maybe even, but it's just a little bit of hole. But the next day, it just goes away. There's another whistleblower. There's another problem to address. There's another interview that's a disaster. And I'm seeing the debates. He's just such a flounderer. He's just like, when it was easier to go against, Hillary Clinton and say, stuff to her and get in arguments with her because, let's face it, people are pretty sexist. So it was okay for him to speak to a woman like that. That's just the reality. Number two, some people, were really legitimately frustrated with the Democrats. They weren't honest brokers either. So we all enjoyed them, giving hell to the Democrats and saying, you guys aren't living up to our expectations. There were a lot of people who just were glad to see both parties subject to criticism for once. There was some legitimacy to that. But now, after 3.5 years, Trump, he's not an outsider anymore. But Biden's a man, So that animus that our society sometimes throws at women, it's not available now. And I'm not saying I think that Biden's like the greatest thing. You guys all know I don't necessarily like him. He's not my favorite choice. But and I would much rather have had a woman candidate, period. Just because I think women would be more resourceful at this time than men. I don't really even care if they're actually literally a woman. If they have some understanding of the feminine, I would be happier. But I want you to know that the things that were in place that supported Trump, a few of them have gone, and there are going to be tons of diehard supporters who just don't want to admit they were wrong. But he doesn't have that added extra benefit, right? So they're always going to be this crazy, 38, 40% of people. They will just always exist, or at least for the time being. But not everybody who was on the board last time and wanted to give everybody hell last time, they're not on board anymore. The average person has been affected. What else can we expect? I have no idea what the numbers are for Electoral College at this moment. I don't know. Yeah, that might be just a bridge too far for me to figure out the exact numbers. I think it's probably even too early. 68% of the people, I'm guessing 68% of the people will vote for Biden. 65 to 68% of the people will vote for Biden. Maybe even as low as 63%. So Spirit, is there any lower than that? Over 60% of people will vote for Biden. Spirit, what can we anticipate for the election? Will there be trouble? Yes, there will be trouble around the election. What kind of trouble? People with guns show up and they try to intimidate people. Is anybody going to get hurt? There will be an incident at a polling place, but I don't think anyone's going to get hurt. It'll be like a problem, but I mean, they might shoot the gun and miss, but I don't think that anyone will get hurt. I see a building and he shoots, he gets out of a car and he shoots, and the bullet kind of hits the building and takes a chunk out of it, but he gets tackled by a bunch of security guys, police people. So I guess I want to let people know that there will be security around these elections. There will be, police people who do their duty and protect that election, right? So let's see, what else do we want to know about the election? Is there any other problems with the election? Yeah, mail is going to be a problem. Look, Dejoy, the guy who's running the post office, he will say anything and do anything. So do not trust that he's going to keep anything that he says is just complete baloney. He's going to do everything he can to manipulate the election via the votes. But understand that he can't know what's inside those envelopes. right? So he can't, if he stops them all, he might be stopping both sides, right? So he's going to try to make it problematic, but he doesn't necessarily know how to make it problematic. He would not go so far as to collect them, give them somebody, open them, reseal them, throw it. He would not go so far. I mean, he would if he could, but he can't. And he is afraid that he would get caught if he tried to do that. And there's just, there's too many post offices for him to have his minions go and do that. It's not realistically possible. So he'll try, but he will not succeed in changing it very much. 1% of the votes will not get counted. Right? So vote early and do your best and follow up and make sure that they received your vote. Try that. That's what I'm doing. But understand that it will not work as well as he wants it to work. All right. So anything else around the election? I don't know what this means. There are lines from Washington, D.C. to someplace in the South, maybe someplace in Texas, someplace in the middle of the country. I'm getting that it may be that there's 3 places in the United States where they'll have some real problems, like really fishy stuff going on, like people repressing the votes, or the votes don't come in on time, and so that there's a big battle, and then there's a legal battle, and untrustworthy governors. This will occur, and it will be stressful, but they're throwing up their hands. I don't think even they can manipulate the election that much. And those guys are afraid of going to jail. Right? They're pretty sure Trump's going to lose, and if he loses, they're going to go to prison for manipulating the elections. So they're a little bit I don't know, I'm not sure about this. It's like everybody who works for Trump winds up, in prison or disgraced, so they're looking towards the future too and being like, well, I would not trust Georgia. I don't trust him, but I think that the Georgia governor is, he knows he's being watched and he's going to be scrutinized. Now, he might try something. He might be that one guy that goes one step further, but then maybe gets caught right away and backs up or something. Arizona, there's going to be some fishy things going on. And by fishy things, I just mean legal challenges, the government stopping people from collecting the ballots, maybe some ballots come in the next day, and there's an injunction that stops them from reading them, but they're throwing up their hands. I mean, I think it's enough of a win that those count, they're not going to stop the count because it's not worth the effort, it's not worth the risk of going to jail. Look, a lot of the things that are going on are really psychological, right? So this is a psychological warfare just to make you afraid to vote, make you not bother to vote because you don't think that your vote matters and it's going to get counted anyway because they're just going to manipulate it. It's psychologically, it is, we are in this election looking down the barrel of a gun. We're literally facing a gun and trying to negotiate how we do this. Keep in mind, it's a psychological gun. It's not the real thing. It's the threat of gun violence as opposed to gun violence. So please be careful and keep your eyes open and pay a lot of attention if you're going to the polls. Follow up on your election, your ballot, all that stuff. But understand that it will not. It won't be as bad as we could imagine. It won't necessarily be battling in the streets so much. Biden's going to win by a big enough percentage that it will calm a lot of people down. And it'll just be a sort of, hey man, you lost the game. And that's that. Okay, I'm getting an exclamation point. Spirit really wants me to convince you that it will be okay. It will be a stressful thing. Understand a lot of things. Again, what we're dealing with is psychological stuff, like the mental stress of this event. So whatever you need to do to sort of combat that psychologically as you move forward with your vote, it's going to be a useful, good thing. Don't forget about my pyramid. If only just lowering it for a minute just to calm you will help, do it. But, also do that pyramid thing. You're going into a difficult situation. Nobody will see you. You just go and put it over your head. Imagine the calm and protection. You can imagine, if you have the evil boss, put it on and imagine whatever they say to you, just bouncing off the wall and bouncing right back to them. And just see how this pyramid works for you. All right. Thanks so much for watching.